I'd like to call the National Utility Service Board meeting to order. 10:06 a.m. We'll start with roll call. Jim Kramer. Tom Roberts. Alan Brown. That's enough before, so we can do it. All right. Approval of the minutes from last week. Did anybody hear last month? Last weeks ago.
August 1st.
August 1st.
I didn't make an adjustment to that.
Okay.
That wasn't me that was doing all the talking.
Okay.
Yeah, that was,
I
in
had
the,
all kinds of phone
that
calls.
was in the newspaper.
Yes, it was.
They did change that in the online version, just so you know, I alerted them to the name change.
I started calling and said, boy, you were really mouthy at the meeting.
What's those now?
Who else?
Clarification. All right. So then we need to adjust the minutes, or the minutes are okay?
The minutes are fine.
Yeah.
It was that article that was.
Yeah.
So can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, consider adjustment requests. What do we have?
Robin has gone through all of them and he has approved all that has been submitted, but we do have a couple of people here who would like to address the board.
Okay.
I think in your packets, you have a letter from the Browns and they are here.
Okay. So what is the request?
They filled their pool and they were below the 5,000 gallon amount, and so they did not get a water credit. Sewer credit.
If I could speak, yes,
Yeah,
we fill the same pool every year and we've always gotten the adjustment. We did for some reason start filling it, we got about 2 inches into it and then, realized it, got the meter. So it was 4,600 of the 5,000 gallon minimum and it was denied, and we would just like to reconsider it or whatever you want to call it. I just don't think we should pay sewer for filling, even whether it's, I'm assuming there's a reason for the 5,000 gallon minimum. But if you have a 2,500 gallon pool, if you can prove that you're filling your pool, I don't understand why, because sewer more than the water. It's just, I don't understand. And so I'm just asking for reconsideration.
What came, I guess I'm not familiar, I don't know I don't know the spot, I don't know the rating, what this is based on, so. Is that
What's the question?
So
So 5,000.
they use 4,600 instead of 5,000, and we can't give them a sewer credit because they didn't use the 5,000?
That's correct. Because your ordinance policy, whatever, is 5,000 gallons is the minimum to qualify for an adjustment.
Again, that's that.
Yeah, there's 4,600 gallons used.
We actually use over 5,000. We just went at the meter for 4,600.
It's only charged for a service.
And I feel like, maybe I need to wash the cars and power wash the house just to meet the 5,000, but that to me is quite a lot.
And we're talking about $75.
It's the principles matter.
I got that.
Yeah.
This is in our regular ordinance.
If they had used the 5,000 gallons, her credit would have been $69.15. And she's got down here 4,100 gallons would be $63.75.
Hey, meters. Carl.
So you have an ordinance, a policy that says it's 5,000 gallons. When people check out the meter, they sign a piece of paper that says, hey, I'm checking out the meter. And right on it, it says there's no sewer credit if there's less than 5,000 gallons used.
I didn't realize that. I wish I had gotten a copy. I did not realize that.
And I don't know who signed it, but, not that I don't understand your case, because I totally do, but you guys have made ordinances and policies, so you have to decide if you're gonna follow that.
No, I mean, we have to follow the ordinance. I was trying to find the ordinance, because I don't remember this one coming up. You know what the ordinance is on it? Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're stuck with following the ordinances. I was trying to pull it up to see if there was anything that we could.
For the wiring out meters, nobody's gonna use five of that.
Well, I think to Sandy's point, when we rent them out,
Long amount, whatever.
loan them out or whatever, does it say on whatever we're giving them when we loan it out? This $5,000?
We don't get a copy.
It says right here, there will be no sewer credit if there is less than 5,000 gallons used. Please see the new ordinance.
So is that given to them when they check out the meter?
Yeah, because they signed it.
Do we know how much the volume of the 2 inches? Well, on 17 readings, we put pool was close to 500 gallons.
Like I said, the same pool, we've gotten it every, I mean, I'm gonna say 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, because I think it used to be like 500 gallons back in the day.
So see that.
Yeah, so that was also, no, and I think at one point, my thinking, if you go over that to 5,000, that's. Who's gonna use 5,000 gallons?
And why pay sewer? Why-
No, you're right. I mean, the whole idea, right? That's why that's why in the ordinance, there's a pool exception. It's just capped at 5,000 gallons. And you can understand why. Okay. I filled up a 55-gallon barrel, I want a credit. I filled up a 500-gallon tank, I want a credit. In other words, there's a limit, there's a cap of the 5,000 for a good reason. Because out of 1,400 customers, you could have every customer wanting the credit for. I watered my yard this year, it was really dry.
I don't want the credit for, I mean, I want the credit, I guess. I don't want to pay sewer for water that's not going in the sewers.
Yes, correct. I understand.
Yeah.
And the sewage flow in the town is not measured.
I measured it for you.
You know, it's not agreed, it's measured based on. They do it by how many watering? Yes.
Your
How many-
sewer's based on water, and if you prove that you have water that didn't go through the sewer, why would you get a credit?
So we will.
I mean, I realize you don't,
Yeah, no, I
I
know
know you're right, I understand.
and like I said, it was an oops for the 2 inches, and I was asking for a
The
reconsideration.
oops
because
for
I'm
the
sure
2
we-
inches is important to me. I mean,
I'm sure we
in
can
the-
fit
that-
500 gallons.
how many people in town use 5,000 gallons? I used about 2,500 to 3,000 a month.
It goes through sewer.
No. What if you have a dry well? What if you have, for your laundry? What if you had irrigate your plants out in front of the house?
Laundry goes through the sewer.
Yeah, I'm just saying you could, I was just meaning you could wash your clothes outside in a barrel. I mean, all kinds of different reasons. But you're in the county, If you're in the county, you could have a septic tank. But I was just meaning, the biggest thing would be irrigation. I'm not trying to argue, I'm just saying, I don't know how many people have pools.
If you use 2,500 gallons, is that through your showers, your washer?
Yes. Except for water in the yard, essentially.
So she waters.
Or filling up a gallon jug that you drink out of.
Yeah.
Make some iced tea, you know what I
Building
mean?
pool's different,
Right.
Yeah.
The sewage flow would always be less than the water flow for everybody. If there's a pool, it seems like the question to me is if they had 2 inches of water in the pool that they flowed before maybe they did hit their 5,000 gallons. But I guess your question is why would you pay for sewer? Is because you don't monitor both. You just base sewer rates are based on water flow.
Okay.
But I'm not saying it's perfect, just saying that's the way it's done. There is no way to measure sewage flow.
No, but there's a way to measure the water that doesn't go through the sewer, that's all I'm saying.
So the way it's written in the ordinance, sewer adjustments will also be allowed for residential and commercial accounts for high water non-sewer uses over a minimum of 5,000 gallons, such as filling pools or car wash. And the account holder or designee must use a Nashville municipal utilities provided for the meter to account for such uses. And then meters may be checked out. And then the form that you sign that checks it out says in bold print, no sewer credit if there's less than 5,000 gallons used. So if we're sticking with the ordinance and the way the ordinance is written,
Will you please start providing your customers with a copy of that and you can sign it?
If we, I don't walk out.
Never have.
yeah,
And
I just
give a
signed
note
the
to
paper.
Jarrod.
Okay.
so definitely understand your frustration, but understand that the way that it's written, there's nothing that we can really do about it. So we have to enforce the ordinances the way that they're written. I was kind of hoping, to Jim's point, that we could use that other 2,000 or the water that you pre-filled, but unfortunately, the way that it is written, it has to show on our meter. So yeah, you should have pressure washed something. Yeah, I understand the frustration. Not anything we can really do. I don't think. Jim, unless you have another thought or something.
I don't know how. I don't know how to change I don't know how to do anything. And make an exception to what the ordinance is. I don't know how to do that. Unless I knew that the 2 inches of water in the pool was something in it.
But still, you go through the meeting.
Right.
So, but do you have people actually that use a meter that check it out and use 5,000 gallons?
I think there was somebody had 7,500 in the, not too long.
And do a pool?
Bigger.
So they just got a bigger pool than what.
Yeah, they have,
we
so, yeah.
Yeah.
Or an 80 grand.
Pressure wash something.
YMCA,
Somebody mentioned pressure water. I pressure washed my house several times, not nearly 500 gallons. That's a beautiful house.
Well, I understand your frustration, but you kind of stuff with it. So thank you all for coming. Yeah, I wish we could do something. All right, what's the other one, Phyllis?
Pretty soon, I am, Sue Lindbergh is here.
Sue, sorry.
Well, I'm good, but I feel like my request is fitness compared to theirs. I watered my garden and was astounded that I had a $32 increase in my sewer bill. And it's the same situation. I didn't know we could get meters here. When I called, I was told I could buy one, you can get $300. And I'm like, okay. So I did the math and I paid like $1.64 per tomato this year. And I know the ordinance was the way it is, but maybe you need to look at it differently. Because everybody had water this year for their gardens. And so that means now we can't have a garden because we're paying sewage on the tubes.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same.
Yeah.
The same thing. It's, the way our ordinance is, and we spent a lot of time, a couple of years on this, trying to get something that's reasonable. Because we run into it with leaks all the time, or a toilet running, or something. Yeah, it's gotta be something that balances it out. So, you can't check the meters out for watering. I don't know that you're gonna use 5,000 gallons watering out.
In 3 days, because you get it for 3 days.
3 days, so I don't know, unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna be able to do an adjustment on yours either.
Oh, I understand it, and with the way the ordinance is written.
Yeah.
I get it, but maybe you need to look at some exceptions.
Well, I do wonder if it's worth looking at lowering the 5,000 minimum. I don't know where that number comes from. And if it's something like to Mr. Brown's point that,
Cause it went from 250 to 5,000.
right, I mean, if we could change that.
I mean, I've seen, I wouldn't change it to 500.
You don't want
One thing,
water, yard.
the one point for your benefit will tell. When we talk about the ordinance, when we talk about rates, when we talk about stuff, you have to understand change the ordinance. The ordinance comes from the state. In other words, because Nashville is a nonprofit water sewer district, we have to comply with regulations that the state sets down. And for the most part, they set guidelines for the whole state. And we're just one of those. So there are limits on what we can and
So they're not thinking about a smaller community when they set their standards for, say, downtown Indianapolis or.
pools or whatever. Right. But I mean, Alan raises a good point. I just mean that, and for her benefit, it makes complete sense. Why would I pay for sewer on water that I water plants with? And trust me, my bill went up, same $30 this month, what we have. There's no way to measure that, right? There's no way to measure how much extra, unless we look back at what, there's no way to measure it. And when we figure rates, do a rate review every year, it's based on 1,400 water customers and 700, 800 sewer customers. And so you just kind of doing the best you can to kind of get averages. You don't really have any way of making the adjustments that small.
Well, and to
On
add
a,
to-
on
I,
a $1.6 million sewer revenue and $1.6 million water, 3 million, a little over $3 million. How do you make adjustments for $30? If, I don't know if that makes sense. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? How do you, we're talking about a $75 bill. For the person that's paying the $75 bill, it's a big deal. But for the, I mean, $75 is
I mean, it's $70. It's,
the principal.
if I can afford a pool, I can afford $70.
Mhm.
I think it's, to me, it was the principle of the matter that I'm paying for sewer or water.
Yes.
That isn't what it is. That was my point. I assumed that there was a calculation to figure, okay, this didn't, you know what I mean?
We know that we know how many gallons of water we bill, 100 million gallons per year. And so how much money do we need to have for sewer? 100 million, and blah, 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 blah. This is what the rates need to be. What I'm saying is you're working on, the scales are completely different.
so why is your sewer rate then, like mine's 434 a unit and my water's 278 a unit?
Okay. We keep track of water costs and sewer costs separately. Because when you send the information to the state for auditing, they keep track of them separately. Okay. You only get income on the one side, how much water. And so if we know, for example, if we knew, I'm making this up, if we knew that we were going to spend $500,000 on sewer and 5 million on water, 10 times different, right? Then the water rate would be, you see that reflected in the rates. In other words, why is the sewer rate different than the water rate? Because the sewer costs are different than the water costs.
Sewer costs is higher.
Yep, costs more to get rid of it. Does get-
But if it doesn't go in there in the first place.
Every gardener has that,
Yeah,
that same
we're
question.
going back.
In Houston, when I lived there for over 20 years, you could get what was called an irrigation meter.
Hmm.
But interestingly, the rate that you pay for irrigation water is about 1.5 times what you pay for residential water. So even though, and so the question there, why would it be any different? I mean, there's no reason. You just figure out the rates, and that's the way the rates are figured on such a global scale that by the time they get measured down to a single customer, you lose track of the scale. But yes, in the summertime when you irrigate, it costs more. And no, it doesn't make sense it doesn't make logical sense that your sewer bill would likewise go up. But it's just the way that it's measured. Oh, let me say it slightly differently. At the end of the year, okay, it's nonprofit. At the end of the year on the sewer and on the water, where we get this extra $69, $70 and we get an extra $30. It's not like I get in, I'm working for free. The money just goes back into the pool to either pay off debts or goes into buckets that are used for fixing things. It's not like the money goes anywhere. It stays within there. And trust me, we're treading water, we're not making tons of the rates are based on what we spend. And we have maybe 5% left over at the end of the year. So it's just, the rates are as low as we can get them. It will feel that way to me. I mean, all I know is what I've seen.
Do we want to take a look at the 5,000? Do we feel like that's the right number? Do we feel like that's too high? Is there statutory precedence for that within the state ordinance?
That's a good question.
It's a good question. I don't know if that's in there, but I think if you start getting that lower and lower, you're gonna get all kinds of, I don't know how many, you got 30 meters to be handed out for people to do all this sort of thing. I mean, you don't want little itty bitty things happening.
Right, I don't know if 5,000, I don't know.
Maybe it goes down to 3,000.
3,000, 4,000, 2,500.
I mean, I can look into the,
So I feel like there's enough, I don't feel like there's anything we can do for sewer of the Browns, unfortunately, but what we can do, I think, is we can take a look at, we could agree to have Dan take a look at that and see if that number makes sense, if there is a lower number. And I agree that for 100 gallons, it's not worth it, but maybe for 1,000.
It seems like to me, as a for example would be, if you're a 3,000 gallon a month customer, then 3,000 gallons, a month's worth of water would be 3,000 is the right number. If you're the Brown County Inn, you go through 100,000 gallons, then it's, well, you follow what I'm saying? It seems like it would be, to some extent, it would be based on user, but that's probably making it too complicated. But I agree with you.
Let's take a look. I think I think what we can do is Dan can take a look at some other small communities, our size communities, and see what that number is and what makes sense. And we can certainly have a conversation with Phyllis and Darla and see what the actual impact, if we lowered this to 1,000, which I don't know if we can, might be a state statute that says we can. But if we lowered it to 1,000, we're checking out more of these meters per month, what is the impact of that have? And, because I think a lot of people don't even know that you can check this meter out for stuff. But I don't think I realized that it was a 5,000 gallon minimum, so, that's probably why we don't check the meter. I mean, how many people check these things out for us on a regular basis?
They get checked out the billing office.
Is it very regularly or?
Some people do, sometimes they don't.
So do we have,
I think 3 meters.
if this was the summer of 25, 4,600 gallons, do we have what it was for when the pool filled up previously?
We get some,
I've got an adjustment every year, until this year.
Yeah.
And you fill a pool how many times a year?
Say once a year.
Top it off, I want.
Yeah. I wash the house out.
Yeah, it's not working.
Oh, yeah.
5,000 gallons of pressure.
I think-
Washing my fence with it.
Or, yeah, it's a guess. If you got it before, it was, for all these other years, it was 5,100 gallons, 5,200
I think
gallons.
it's a 5,500 gallon pool. It's,
We don't fill it all the way to the top to where it's, keep it down a little bit.
but like I said, next year,
But this year,
pay more attention and wash the cars and.
Yeah, I don't want,
Our house, I mean,
right,
like
that's
this
the
year,
learn.
since I pre-filled a little bit of it, I didn't want to just, and I don't know how that meter
No, I
reads.
understand.
We go down the wire way, you
Right.
grab the numbered in, and it, I don't know how it reads, I don't think it said 5,000 gallons. Yeah, I don't know how the numbers click on that, but,
Right,
it doesn't help me to just throw the hose out in the yard and let another 400 gallons or whatever run out in the yard, because I'm gonna pay for the 400 gallons of water that just let run out in my yard.
right,
You know, so I hit that. It's just-
right. It's only a sewer credit, right?
Right, but if it's, like we set the pool up a couple years ago and it rained to go in it, so we probably had an inch in. So, but we still met the minimum.
And you're still gonna have some evaporation, which will dry, but.
Yeah, we don't fill it all the way up because when it does rain, because then it just does fill the pool up more. So it's up to where it needs to be now. I mean, we've not had a lot of rain, but I've not had to add water to it from it being hot out and evaporate. But
Thank you.
Crazy about how kids are splashing in all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, I know we can't help it this year, but we'll take a look at it and see, if we can have more reason. Thanks, so, yeah, thank you all for coming. Sue, I'm sorry, not much we can do with it.
I'm hanging around for the rate increase discussion.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
I'm just easily entertained.
Anything else on the?
Just a motion to approve
The August adjustment request, we need a
Somebody
motion
make a
on that.
motion to approve the rest of it?
And Robin did approve all of those on that, so.
Yeah.
Were there any questions on any of them, Robin, or you already approved of?
No, they were all pretty
Cool. Okay.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I think last month, I think we had two pool fill ups, but I'm not sure how big the pools were.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay. All right, moving on then, budget revenue management report, Jarrod. Good morning. Good morning. All right.
Doing all right. Yeah, so in your packet, you should have the year, July, financials. Think anything too different from the norm. I guess just kind of jump into page 3 on the water income statement. One thing I've been, I have to say it every month, watching those metered sales, because through July, we should be about 58% through our budget, right? In a perfect world. We're a little under that on our metered sales, but keep in mind, this is cash receipts, so we know summer's, as we know, summer's a higher usage month than the winter. So we actually won't even recognize like July. So for example, July usage gets billed in August, gets collected in September. So
So her $30 extra for water in her yard hadn't hit the.
hasn't hit the books unless she's paid her bill yet.
Oh, I got it.
Well,
But
it's probably already paid.
so from that perspective, we're trailing a little bit, but we're looking at it monthly here. So and then as far as disbursements as a whole, we're right on budget, at that 57.5. I don't know if we had an odd salary. I'm guessing the pay period fell to bump that salary over kind of the 58%. But I looked back at last month and we were on track. So other than that, I mean, I think Jim mentioned it. We're not making tons of money, but we're really breaking even at this point. And as we get closer to year end, similar to like what we did last year, I suppose we're going to look at when we work on the budget for 26, what that means for revenues. I know we've got a lot of moving pieces that we'll probably need to factor into that, but as far as water goes, that's all I have. Are there any questions? I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at it or. No, okay. Then
Water looks pretty straightforward.
yeah. And then similarly, page 9 is the wastewater income statement. Same story because of the discussion we just had. Our wastewater revenues, sales are based on water consumption, so I expect same thing there. Overall, we haven't had any connections. I think we had budgeted for that. We'll probably amend that next year, unless we know of something coming, but adjust that down. And then Yeah, sludge hauling is still a cost. I think it's no surprise due to the project. You know, we're over our budget on that, but hopefully in the long run, when the project's done, we'll flip it and be on the other side of that. Jim, did you have a question specifically or just on the wastewater? I'm sorry.
On the wastewater side, the question would be, in your report, we're seeing what we have, what we spent last year and what we're spending this year and where we're at. And
Mhm.
I got it.
Mm-hmm.
The question I have is if we continue at the rate we're going, where are we gonna wind up?
Well, if we normalize for the,
In a global way.
right. I mean, I think the story is the same. I think one thing you guys,
When I look at last year, it was ending cash investments. $1.4 million down to HCS $200,000. That's a big chunk
yeah,
of difference. And so, and while we understand the sludge part, I mean, there's $100,000 right there
mm-hmm,
from the year before to today. And so I guess the question is, where are we going to wind up at the end of the year? As best we can tell.
yeah. So, one thing, you know, we're behind, so we look at like our net operating receipts for through July, we're at 283,000. You know, I think some of it is impacted by the lagging sales or receipts numbers. So from the revenue income side. So I think, I think how to explain this. I'm not sure the first 6 months are 50% of our revenue, same as the second 6 months. So I expect we're gonna bring in more money in the second 6 months because of the trailing summer months, higher consumption, things like that. So we should play catch up on the revenue side. On the expense side, you know, generally we're on budget, except for the sludge. That's really kind of skewing, you know, pushed it overall up to 67%. So, you know, I think we're marginal, we're close.
Guess the part on that I have a hard time wrapping my head around, and I think it's just because I don't understand. I'm not questioning the information, I'm saying, I'm questioning, I don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't. If I look at the net operating receipts, good answer, we're 300,000 to the plus. That's good, yeah.
Yeah.
But by the time we get to the bottom, I don't understand the part about the total non-operating receipts disbursements, the difference there and why we're spending more.
Yeah, so our debt service, the 569.
It's higher this year than last
Right, because we took out, so that 569 is a full year debt service. And it's a time, and this is the challenge of a cash basis presentation versus accrual. And I'm not suggesting to like reinvent the wheel and do accounting, but you have to recognize the 569 is a full year of debt service because it was paid in January 1 of 25 and July 1 of 25. Okay, so we're already paid ahead, right? In a sense, so that number shouldn't increase. So we've got 12 months of non-operating expense in there already, and we're only 7 months into it. But I don't expect it to go up. So we're pretty marginal, right? At the end of the year, our net operating receipts hopefully should slightly exceed our non-operating receipts and disbursements, the bottom section of it.
year.
So we end the year with a little bit of cash ahead. The challenge is the capital outlays, right? Which go down there as well.
Mhm.
Not a challenge, but that's like always the big unknown, you know, replacements, unexpected expenses, things like that. So that's down there. I mean, it looks like we've got what 150,000. The difference between capital additions and our bond proceeds, the 5.495 and the 5.619 million. The difference is like self-funded capital expenses. You with me? Because 5.5 million effectively of that is covered with the bond proceeds. So then you've got debt service and capital outlays, so you've got almost, $700,000-800,000 of expenses that are funded from net revenues of the utility. And I can tell you that 570 of that is prepaid, so. I'm with you, I think we're really marginal, we're not making a lot of money here, but we're also extremely rate sensitive, right? You guys are, and want to make sure the rates are just sufficient, right, to take care of business. So when we go to do the 26 budget, we have the same conversation, but now I think you guys having a full year going through this monthly, we're going to be more dynamic in that and how we want to budget for next year and the rate impacts. And yeah, I don't cover anything else, but I think it's all pretty much the same.
It's really cool.
Yeah, we're hanging in there. I mean, this project done, hopefully,
Get it done,
some of
yeah. Get it done, things will start moving a little better.
that stabilize a little.
Stabilize
Yeah.
expenses.
All right, operations. Robin Keith.
We've had a month full of water leaks, so that's been showing, and the water usage has been up too on our consumption. So the water loss was showing a little less, but I think considering a lot of the leaks we've had and repaired, we're doing pretty good there. It's maintaining the same percentage.
You show everybody the leak or the leak part.
This is something we removed in front of the visitor center. Got that last leak we had, and this is the condition of all our taps in town. So these failing, it just takes a little disruption, and we've got those seeps everywhere.
Can we get a picture of that included in the next Democrat article? Quoting
Sincerely,
Thomas.
There was another saddle next to this that was in the same condition. This one had been shut off for some reason, and one line was feeding 2 meters over at the visitor center. So when we replaced it, we ran in 2 lines. We cut a section of the ductile iron out, did 2 new taps, and ran 2 lines inside of a 2-inch conduit. So they're encasing now, going over, and each meter has their own tap now. So we try to replace things better and improve as we can. But
What size main is it attached to?
that was on a 4-inch ductile. There is a 6-inch run through there. They yet found it down through there. The guys did repair 2 days ago a leak across from the Abbey Inn. There's a 2-inch line that goes up the hill. Well, the bottom part going across the creek is, I can dig it up with my hand right now out of the silt. And they repaired it. And it's a metal line going over to an old pumping station that's just a block of remnants. But from there across under the bridge, the other side of the 46, it's a metal line down through there, and it runs in the creek. Then goes up the hill, and then there's plastic somewhere.
Is that galvanized?
It was either galvanized or it was the black metal pipe that they got in the floor.
Yeah, that's like.
We've got
Still in the creek, is that?
Oh, yeah, we've got several of those out there. Those would be the first things I would think, anything in your replace.
Well, that's an archaeological find right there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there are those, and there's a 2-inch and less feeding some of these customers, and they're almost so thin that the water's sweating, I'm sure.
I mean, are those things that we can replace now, or just that we're waiting for as the bigger project? Because those aren't even on.
Those aren't even on the project limits area, so those are things that Robin probably just places it goes and has time to do and money to do it.
Are those showing up on the,
Heat map that,
On the Aqua.
SmartAcqua.
yeah,
There's some spots on there. We did, and this is something we gotta work. Robin on a little bit. We did superimpose that on our map. There's significant places we're gonna be replacing these. But there's a lot of them like that, that,
Right, and with two people that are on the water crew. They're just trying to keep up with water leaks at this time, and then in between, it's maintaining equipment between the leaks. And, as far as returning back to try to replace a section of that, we've got so many of them, you don't know which one to start off first. But you do shut off people, I mean, out in Jackson Branch, so that one that we replaced 80 foot right there to get it across the creek. Now it's plastic 2 inch, but it needs to continue all the way up the hill from there to 3 houses up on top. And that has to be replaced, dig it alongside the old main so that we can find the taps that are coming into it up that hill.
that's a tricky thing to do, because you gotta have two mains really in operation before you flip over the taps.
Right.
You are gonna put people out of service for a time,
Right.
yeah.
And you can't do it all in one day. You have to be able to tie that new line back into the old line, which is an odd size. But we figure out how to do it. And could tie them back in temporary until we can get back to finish it up the hill.
I just wonder if maybe that's not a bad idea. To put that in the Democrat, to show the people what you're dealing with and why it's so important. Water rates may increase because of.
Yeah, because you're buying 45% of the water from your.
Exactly.
Wood Creek.
Mhm. Yep. But a lot of people don't understand. Oh, yeah, you spend a lot of money, but we don't see it. Right there, you see it.
Good job fixing leaks, so.
I'll tell the guys. They're going out there.
Yeah, it's hard work.
And just so you all know, the CBB was directly impacted and they couldn't say enough great things about Robin.
Good.
Staying in contact with him, letting him know what was going on. So he very much appreciated that.
Mhm.
Yeah, make sure you think of it right.
Yeah,
I know it's been a brutal summer.
yes.
All right, anything else on the operations side? Water loss, where are we on water loss?
30, it was 36 or 30.
Went down a little bit.
36. Yeah. Yeah, it went down a little bit.
Because we sold more water.
Yeah, so our consumption was up to about 15.
Actually, one question, what are we doing on? We need samplers for qualifying?
We do.
We have
already got
we
it,
just
right?
Right, I've got
Yeah,
one of them I
already
have.
got it.
One of them I have to place up on the primary because that sample went bad. Now, that's a,
And can we get those installed in the next month? No?
I'm gonna try. I said by the end of the year, and that's what my answer was. But
Yeah,
look, the amount of,
but
I have other issues that happen first that are a higher priority than that. When the operation of the plant is needed, that's the things I have to take care of first.
yes,
And the customers, lift stations that are busting or
yes.
needing repair, I have to watch after that first too.
Could we contract the installation of those to somebody else? So
It's, like I talked to Keelan a few minutes ago, and they're more worried about Qualfon. Okay, that helps me. I switch. I was gonna try to put it at Hard Truth first, but talking to him, his concerns with Qualfon more than Hard Truth. I'm gonna take that one and put it down there. We can instantly plug it in and get it going. We don't have to have power ran from a pole or nothing like that. Like Hard Truth is gonna be a little bit more in depth in getting connected.
Would it be worth looking at contracting that out since you guys are so swamped?
No, it's a 110 plug-in, and we'll have to run this line to it, and we're just gonna have to try to get it. One of them to try to start it today. So they had a little downtime today. And that's what we're gonna try. Plus, we also have to learn the sample on how to set it.
But doing qual first is easier, you think?
Well, yeah, there's already power there.
Okay.
So we're gonna try to get that done in the next couple of weeks here.
Awesome.
And then I'll go ahead and order another one. There is like $9,900.
Did,
for a sample.
did Brad have one for you to buy off of?
Probably not no less.
Right, but he
Yeah.
thought if you needed it right away, but,
I wanna try to get the same units, because when I have to keep spare parts, it's good enough to have different kinds.
can you, the samplers, can you then do the testing in-house?
That I disagree with, because you want a third party sampling their samples, so there's no pointing fingers or doubting.
Yep.
So that would be a
That
part of
would
the
be an
cost of
issue. Yes,
monitoring.
that's correct.
Couple weeks while we'll be stable.
I just was asked a question.
No,
He, rather a good answer, he's got lots going on.
all right, anything else on this?
No, all right, no mainstream or anything like that, we're doing great.
Wastewater updates?
All right, construction continues to go pretty well. We are doing rehab in manholes. So that's moving forward. I still have a little bit of lateral lining to do. Salt Creek Lift Station, the electrical and natural gas services have been installed. At the plant, we're still working on the giant digester complex. We've got equipment to stick in there. We've got electrical to do. And there's gonna be a lot of activity over the next 2 or 3, 4 months, but we are on schedule. And so construction wise on dollars, we only have about a little over $4 million left of work to do. Now they have already built a lot of the stored equipment, which is a lot of the electrical equipment. So the $4 million isn't inclusive of some of that electrical equipment and some of the materials they still have to install, but a lot of that's installing that, running all the electrical lines and things like that. We are projecting to have some contingency at the end of the job. So we've identified the county garage lift station as being one that we probably ought to replace. It is, been working with Robin and Nathan, I know, has been talking about this. The force main is at capacity or above capacity. So we're gonna take some of that contingency money, because you don't spend it, you've already borrowed the money. It just sits in this or else account. So I think we can do that with what we've got, what we'll end up with.
Is it better to do that one, or what about the state park ones?
State
Park want the lift station. That's stuff to the state.
Yeah, they own that one. We don't own that.
No, this one is one of our last ones that is a headache, and it's undersized for what it is coming to it, and
Yeah, it was always undersized.
I did mention to Nathan, Logan had the idea for them to come in.
I was looking at maybe using the 2 lift stations we're getting rid of, maybe use those pumps, give us 4 pumps. Use those pumps and those complete boxes, maybe after. We have to run a larger main.
Yeah.
And the county commissioners are on board with everything that Nathan has been sending to them regarding easements, all that kind of stuff,
Good.
so.
Yeah, so I think we're good.
And I think they've done a drill out there.
I think it's coming up.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah. We've had some issues with these. I think we're gonna get these signed, sealed, delivered.
there you
We'll be good every quarter.
This will all be good.
So we're on time, we're under budget, we're gonna have money left over to spend on something. So
Yes,
it's too good to be true, so it's,
but we're in good shape.
all right. Anything else on this one?
Anything else, anybody have any questions on anything?
No, I still want to go through and see it. I'll call it back.
Yeah, you should go. look
Yeah.
at it. It's, the digester complex is really coming together very nice.
Yeah, it is.
All right. How, SmartAqua's next?
SmartAcqua, I would, not a whole lot to talk about here. Robin's busy. We've got the map. As I mentioned, it does correspond a lot what we're gonna be replacing. There are some spots that, doesn't. That was one of them. I need to get with you on the other spots. So I would say at this point, there's no need to make any kind of action on SmartAcqua.
We're still looking at it, we're still overlaying it.
Still looking at it.
All right, let's talk about the part that Sue stucker for, so.
Yeah.
Well, future water projects, you found an OCRA grant to pay for the whole thing?
Oh, yeah, well, you get an OCRA grant.
That was sarcasm, doing that, please don't start that.
You get about $750,000 on an OCRA grant, which helps. Anything helps, and we're gonna look at all those options. There's a process to get those. They have an award in August, next Friday. I think they're gonna award. And and I think Jarrod, you mentioned they may have another round in December.
Yeah, somebody told me that there may be one early next year, like application later this year.
I don't know. I think the end of October it's due.
So maybe something that, you guys said grant writer ready, you got ready to go. Something we probably ought to sit down with.
Is that, do you use, that's like,
ARA, that's who we use.
Okay,
So do we need to get that grant application going now then?
we need to get that rolling.
So we're not in the running for the current.
Yeah.
So it's a 250 match.
Yeah. Well. Match,
Well,
you're gonna be
250
way over the.
Yeah, we're good.
I wouldn't worry about the match. You're gonna be, the match is gonna be, you're gonna be matching 90%. So, or 95%. So you're gonna be in good shape on the match.
That, I mean, that's a significant number on the.
It helps. It does help. I don't know how it affects the rates, and I guess now is the time to talk about.
it all
the
helps.
rates.
I don't know if it ran that scenario, but a couple dollars.
Yeah,
Real quick, I
anything
just,
helps.
on that replacement of that tap, what does it cost to replace that? Like just your labor and then like what's that meter that?
I'm not sure what the tap itself costs, the saddle. You're looking at maybe $200 or $300 for just the saddle. And then a section of PVC pipe.
So maybe less than $1,000.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just a thought, and that's where I forgot it, but, cause the amount of water losing through that, like, doesn't take anything to pay for that fix.
Yeah.
Anyways, so last meeting I presented to you all kind of some options. We went back, and you should have the packet in front of you, or in your packet. Went back, had some discussions with Nathan. We thought maybe we had something, we didn't, but that's why we're looking at all of our options, so. But we came up with some, I think, ideas, thoughts, considerations. Just to remind everybody, I think the idea right now is we're just talking, based on estimates. Based on Dan and his team have provided, construction cost estimates, we're put together potential rate impacts. There's no actions at this time on rates or to move forward with the borrowing. The idea is that the utility service board, and then eventually it goes to the town council, understands what the rate impacts could be under these circumstances. We won't have final costs till we get through design, engineering, and bidding, and things like OCRA, which we're gonna explore that. If you get an OCRA grant, it's gonna help buy these rates down, but generally, right, we're trying to lay the groundwork of a what if situation, right?
We want to get town council enough information that they're on board with moving forward with this, knowing that this are the possible rate increases, but this is, we're gonna have to get approval to spend the money to do the study to get to the point where we get the real numbers.
Correct.
At some point, we have to kick it and get it moving, so
Right.
that's the.
Yep.
my asks.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm just page 14. We'll just, nothing really has changed until that page. So if you, I'm sure some of you probably looked back at the last one. I made a couple of changes and on the revenue requirement side. So if you'll notice in that top section, I went ahead and put in inflation increases to the operations. I don't think it does anybody any good not to, I think it's still conservative, but to show it ultimately it drives up our revenue requirements, which increases the potential rate increase, but it's more accurate in my opinion. So that's a big change that I made from the last version I had provided to you guys. So it's that $138,071. Okay.
Okay.
Everything else up there, so we're still looking at $12.4 million, 25 years, and then an assumed interest rate of 5%. Okay, so I left all three options, and we can discuss how we want to, proceed with the council. But same, the hybrid, which includes the increase on an across the board basis with the implementation of a kind of a fire protection charge, and across the board, which contemplates no fire protection charge, and then just a fire protection charge. So as Jim mentioned in the last meeting, I've kind of got one in the middle and I've got one on both ends. One thing we talked about was the idea of, because I think the big thing with this project is fire protection within a designated area, right? And so there's hydrants, there's accurate water pressure, which can help put out fires. There's a fire volume. One thing we didn't talk about was the idea that my understanding is that if somebody has a fire outside of what like the hose or the fire truck can reach right here in town, is if you have a fire up the hill here and you have to have a tanker truck, I believe they have to run to like maybe even Bloomington to refill that. It's not good. So one thing we had talked about that kind of came up with discussing with Nathan was like having hydrants here in town, while you may not be hooking up to the hose and running a hose to your house, like if a tanker truck just has to run down the hill, fill up the truck in a minute or two or whatever, turn around and go back up. To me, there seems like there's an inherent benefit to the individuals in the service area. Okay.
Well, you fill the tanker truck up at a much higher rate.
Well,
There's speed in the fires.
Cut down on the mountain.
So with that idea in mind, we looked at and we put together maybe what it may look like if not only do we have a fire protection charge for the in-town, but we also apply one to out of, or not in town, in the fire territory area versus out of the fire territory area, because there's a benefit. And really hard to quantify, like, it's subjective. So what we've done, we just kind of said, look, if it's maybe 30%, so it's a third of the cost. I mean, you can see the numbers there. So on the hybrid option one, in this model, we've got it says in town. I need to fix that. I need to say in the fire area, but in the fire area, that would be at $23.36 per EDU. So we're still going that EDU. And then outside of the fire area would be $7.72 or a third.
Okay. So everybody would pay.
So everybody, and then the across the board would look at, that 54%, so 106. So if you remember from the previous version I provided last month, we're at about $104.41 for the 4,000 residential, and then it was $24.81 for the fire fire district, customers. So, we kind of, yes,
When you say in town, now, does that mean within the city limit?
ignore, yeah, that's what ignore, under the fire protection charge, pick your pin and mark that in town out, that's in the designated fire area, or whatever I need to figure out what we're gonna call that sewer off, but the area serviced by the fire hydrants.
protection.
Okay.
I'll make that change, so, yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
Yeah, I know that's gonna be a question.
Yeah,
Or do we know,
Do we have it?
how do I know what that is?
that's a map.
We have
And do we know how many customers that is?
300.
three something.
I have it here, give me a second. At the bottom, it's 922 EDUs, but remember an EDU is like a 2-inch meter uses more, but I want to say it's 200 and
Well, we had it at
352.
Yeah, because we had it at 200, we expanded a little bit.
Yep.
Made a few more assumptions. So we expanded to 350.
352 inside the fire protection area, that's just customers. And then 1,038 outside.
So that would leave. At least roughly 300 that are excluded. It's okay. You know,
What do you mean, what do you mean by that?
there are roughly sewage wise, there's about 800 customers. So in my head, if you're on the sewer, you're kind of in town.
Yeah,
Sort
I'm not,
of. And that leaves another, out of that 800, leaves 600 out of the 1,400 water customers. And so in my head, I just kind of revolve around this 800 number.
okay,
In my head. So you said 350 were in the zone, 138 outside the larger zone. And so that leaves another 300-ish that comes up with about 790.
City sewer all the way to. City limit.
Do we see the map, man? Is it someone pull up?
I don't know that I have it with me.
I may have one.
You have it.
That's my-
I think we've emailed.
That's why.
So anyway, this is an updated hybrid across the board.
We can get it there.
Kind of gives us a range. Got it.
So now that we've got the range, now that we've got the option, what do we do to move this forward?
The only one question one question is on the page 16.
Yeah, so that's your custom, I'm probably not going to include it in the report, going forward. I mean, I always have it and it's available, but,
I guess
Yeah.
the one thing that I didn't quite get in my head, okay, is when I look at a particular customer here that are the bigger customers, okay, it seems to me like that I'm not sure I understand exactly why in the option 3 column, which I'm assuming is the fire water only.
Yeah.
Why those customers that are all inside the fire zone are less than the hybrid and less than the,
this doesn't have the fire protection charge on there.
that's exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
And so
Do you want me to do it with the fire protection charge on there?
well, if I'm gonna look at that to figure out who's getting hit the biggest.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna ask the people that are getting hit the biggest are gonna wanna know what their hit is.
Yep. Yeah, I'll.
So
We've been doing this a separate column, so you can see this is.
Yeah.
That's it, I hear the rate increase would apply.
That's for the Rankin State Department, yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's,
So these numbers are dovetailed, those numbers are dovetailed with your top line where it said residential water bill, 4,000.
yeah,
They dovetail with that, don't have the other part protection.
That's right. Yeah, I need to dive down and get all the meter data and everything for them.
So, yeah.
Here. Here, Alan, do you want to see the map?
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's that. Someone was close, the red
It hasn't
ones.
changed, yeah.
Just if we touch the screen, it'll go to sleep on you.
Yeah, it's the red ones.
Okay.
It encompasses all the, when you do a water model, it encompasses all the area where placing added hydrants, and it's in that area that's going to have the lower pressure. And it's gonna have the volume for the new tank for the fight fire.
We have fire hydrants outside of that area, but this is just the area that's affected by
It's
this.
gonna be improved. A significant.
Let's see. You know what the hell, look. Oh, okay, so
You're in the red zone.
I'm a civil engineer, so I gotta look at it that way. Okay, well, I'm with you now.
It's always got, yeah,
It's just gonna keep turning.
You just go like.
and it's turned its head.
Or you turn around and screw
But it doesn't go out to Parkview. Has Hawthorne and stuff out there, and it doesn't go as far as Parkview.
Yeah.
So everything in town and close around and all the way out to
All that
all
salt
seasons,
creek,
all the salt and
right.
stuff. It doesn't go as far as Parkview.
And not
Oops,
good for to
north of town.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll make sure everybody gets copies of them.
okay.
So.
Yeah.
What are our next steps to keep this moving forward?
All right, next steps, if you're good with, an option. I'm not saying Andy's option to vote on today, but the next step would be for you guys to engage us in design. And, you would have to get a proposal from us. So we can do that next month.
Do you have all the information that you need to get us a proposal?
Yes.
It doesn't cost us anything for you to prepare.
It was not.
I would like for us to consider asking Dan to put a proposal together for option one. Well, the part of your part's the same for all these, doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what option you pick.
Okay.
We've got a number on the project at 12.4 million, I believe. is the number.
Yeah.
And, we can give you that option, and what it would include, it'd be very similar to the sewer job, and include design, construction, admin, inspection. And, so yeah, we can get you that proposal.
So I would like for us to ask, or we'll put a vote or whatever, so I make a motion for him to do that. And then let's ask Jarrod to add the column with the fire protection number. I'd like to layer in like that OCRA grant is a realistic possibility. Could we layer in what that?
What I can do is put I could footnote it and say a $700,000 Oprah grant buys right down $1.50. That way, I'm not just doing another column, right?
Yeah.
But I can quantify the impact of that.
And is that the number we think that the next grant round we're getting? At least a little.
Well, there'll be, if there is a grant, round in December, maybe not. There's always one in the spring, there's always one in the fall.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So
We'll have a few shots at trying.
we got a couple of shots, and usually, even if you turn one in, you never get it on the first shot.
Right.
Usually,
Did it make it happen?
all right.
Hey, Dan, can I put you on the spot, just my own curiosity, like, what's the design timeline for you guys?
Something like this is probably a 6 to 8 month.
Yeah.
No, Nathan will tell me.
No, I know,
It's
it was
12
big, it was
months.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're looking, a year from now,
From now,
hopefully-
you'll have bids,
logically.
you'll have bids in hand and you need to make a decision. So you don't really need to do anything with rates until you get bids in hand. Now we will have to do upfront on the financing and look at either SRF pool financing or bond bank or something.
Yeah,
So we'll have to figure that out, but, yeah, about a year, less than a year, you'll have numbers from the contractor.
Terry, did you think we talked, I think we talked about this, I don't remember, so you put something in for like an inflation number. Did you put something in for the reduction of water loss?
I did not, we talked about it, I mean,
Yeah,
And, okay.
I wouldn't feel comfortable.
feel like it's gonna be reduced by half,
But we can't quantify.
but you
that.
can't really quantify that. And I could say, yeah, it's gonna be half, and we can say it's gonna be
We can quantify
X
it,
amount of dollar savings. Yeah, we can do that.
but
But I don't think you can figure that in your rates when you're doing your rate calculations.
No.
It's kind of a bonus. And you can adjust,
We could adjust in year two.
yes.
One, inflation. The 138, that was a one-time thing,
it was 3 years.
3 years of that,
Yeah,
three times 138, 3 times that, I mean.
Well, not 138, it's, yeah, it was 138. So it should be. Yeah, three years of 3% on the 1.4 million. So that's what I put in there. Make me second guess my math, you know.
Where was that? What page was that on?
14.
no.
Yeah, so if you take the 1.5 million, increase it by 33%, that gives you whatever, increase by another 3% for year two. Do it one more time for the third year, that total is 138,000. So I'm basically projecting 3 years from now that your total O and M would be 1 million, 1.6 million.
And then if we as a board decided that we should have 3% inflation escalation increases in rates, wouldn't the two push? I mean, it seems like if you're gonna inflate costs, you would do the same thing with assuming, forget about the $12.4 million financing that you
Right.
but you would. Are we saying that the rates will not go up? Costs will go up, but rates won't. Is that what we're saying?
Well, I'm saying that kind of what we're doing now with the monthly report and the budget, we are looking at it annually and effectively, if you remember last year, it was like a relatively inflationary increase, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying here is this just kind of like puts in a built-in 3-year, when you don't review them every year, because not everybody does that, reviews them every year like you guys do. And so when you do a rate study, we typically put 3 to 4 years of inflation in there to try and buy the rates out. That makes sense.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to add something too. Also, talking about the budget.
Mhm.
So we currently have a billing system that we did a conversion in 2018. And so our vendor has now joined another group. And so we had Keystone Voice and now they've merged with BSNA. And so it's a larger, it's gonna be a much larger adventure, but there's so much more offering, what we could offer our customers on the new software. So here's my thing, I am going to retire in 2.5 years. So I'm not running again, and If our current vendor does not, I'm not sure how long they will support us on the current software that we're on. There are no guarantees that it's gonna stay on the current software. So before someone else comes into this position, I would, if we have to convert to the newer system, I would much rather take the headache and do it now or in the next year, so that the new person comes in, we're on the latest, greatest, it's like 15 years ahead from where we are now, is what they're saying. So it is amazing. And so we were just at conference, Jarrod was there, I was there, just at State Board of Accounts School and Conference this week. And the presentation, they're coming to give me an actual in-person presentation, like the first week of September, which I will let you know, because I would love for some of you, if you're available, to come in here and sit for an hour and a half or so and look at this software, because there's no guarantee that we can stay where we are. It is more expensive. We have not gotten a rate for a town this size and for the size of our utility customers. But it is something we are gonna have to address, absolutely, because this has just happened. And so they are rolling out a new software now. And I would say that it's inevitable at some point. And we have one of the largest software firms in the state of Indiana that's accepted, by the State Board of Accounts. And I think we all like our billing system. However, it would be so much better than what we have now. Customers will be able to just log into their own accounts, see everything, they can pay their bills, kind of like what you do at other utilities. I log in, pay my gas, I log in and do my electric. So now you cannot do that. So, and it's live at once. So if they make a payment, it'll show like right away. I mean, there's so many things to it that I don't even know yet, because I haven't gone through the whole presentation. But Jarrod knows about what's happening with the software company. So that's something we have to keep in mind. We'll know more next month as to what it would cost, to convert, and if they can give me any idea how long they would support us, continue to support the current software, but I don't see it that long. That's just me guessing from.
They're saying,
prior.
they're gonna support, like I was talking to Ray and he was like, yeah, but they merged for a reason that they're gonna gravitate towards the new.
Yes,
Do we have any idea ballpark? I mean, I don't know why
Not yet.
we wouldn't switch unless it's just.
yes, not yet. We do not, because they haven't come. I talked with one of the higher ups at the conference and I'm like, look, we have been your longtime customer for umpteen years. And, please, give us the best rate we can to do the conversion. Because, otherwise we can't afford it. And then we're really in trouble, because then it's like, what are we gonna go to? That we can afford, because if we can convert, it's cheaper than just going out all new. So it should be. So anyway, I'll let you know more next month. And if any of you would like to sit in on the demo, that would be great. So I'll give you information. Okay. And also, if I could be added to the emails with the financials, that would be great. We haven't talked about that, but that would be,
The
would help
monthly
me.
report.
uh,
Monthly report.
all your reports, yes, that would be great. So,
You want us to do that, or when you send them? I don't know if you send them out after.
We just put them in the Google Drive.
Okay, so we'll just have, I think Brandon sends them out, just have them out.
okay, thank you. Okay, that's it, so.
The one Brenda question I have. With regard to Brown County Water. With regard to the hard food. We spoke briefly. Based on the agreement that we have in place. We confirmed that there is a true up at
Yes,
the end of the year on the revenue side. Did we figure out? Or do we know whether or not each month they deduct the hard truth volume from the volume at the salt plant meter and do not bill us for that water?
and you asked that, and I gave you, we looked at the only thing that we receive in my. And it's the true up letter that says this is how much is your share. So we don't have any financial information at all. From them that, breaks it down. I don't know if your agreement says that they're supposed to break it down so that you receive it. Jarrod, have you ever received anything? I would say no. Because we get a letter, and I showed you the letter that we have, and the letter comes with, this is the amount. For sure. Yes, I think that is a very good question.
Well, yeah, we're gonna get to the new business. I didn't.
Okay,
I just had a feeling Brenda was gonna walk out the door.
yeah, I am good.
So I
Thank
thought
you.
I'd ask the question.
Okay,
All right, so can we get a motion to have them move forward with the,
I make a motion, go ahead.
I'll second that. We need a motion from the
I think
Yeah.
we should, you know, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So you're good, you got what you need to keep
We're
this
good.
going forward.
We're good to look at.
Yeah, I'll just clean this up and then whenever you want us to present to council.
Anything else on this one?
That's just having questions, but more of the new concept, the idea of the out of town. And we can still iron that out, but generally speaking.
We've got enough that we can keep
Yeah.
filing for us.
How do we? Without making a decision. What? It isn't time to decide whether it's hybrid. Everybody pays, Firewater pays, hybrid, whatever.
Right.
I don't know that anybody's smart enough for us here to figure that out. It's not time yet. And we know that the 12.4 is a ballpark number. And we know that the rate stuff is a kind of ballpark based on a lot of assumptions. And so we're still in the assuming part, and him get the proposal I get. I don't understand at what point we would say to town council, or why today, if we wanted to do it because we won't meet for another, why wouldn't we say, we have this information. We have this information from our financial people. Town council, here it is. I'm not sure I understand what are we waiting for? Why wouldn't this go to town council and say, we need $12 million-ish, and we're gonna need a rate increase no one's gonna like, and so what should we do? I don't know that we need to, I don't know that it needs to be perfect. I think we know enough to know that we've thought about 2 or 3 ways to adjust rates, and we've looked at 2 or 3 master plans that somebody before I got here said, please do a water master plan. And we reviewed that and come up with it seems like I'm kind of like ready to, I don't know that I have anything to decide on this specifically, but it's time to figure out where we're going. What does the town council want to do? What do the ratepayers want to do? I don't know that. It's like getting a proposal from him is free. But what are you gonna do with it when you get it?
Well, I guess whether we go to town council now or whether we go to town council after the proposal, doesn't matter to me. I mean, I guess, Dave's here is not paying much attention to us right now, but it doesn't matter to me, and I guess that was my question to Dan. Our next step is right now, we would be going to town council with a lot of fuzzy stuff.
Yes.
If we get a proposal, then it's a little bit more concise, and here's the proposal, here's the cost, here's what we want to do. We want you to approve it. That was kind of the thought that I had. We want to go with a bit more negative path. Like, we're not spending any money, yes.
A suggestion would be one of you all write up a summary because things have been seen in the newspaper.
Right.
So obviously the council's seen some of it. So maybe if you said, hey, just want you to understand where we are. This is the next steps that we're looking at completing.
Okay.
Um,
We can present
so
that.
that they're not totally in the dark when you come with the facts of,
Well, if I were going to summarize at this minute, it would be 4 or 5 years ago, somebody approved doing a water master plan. The water master plan has been completed 2 years ago. And the answer then was, we need some somewhere between 10 and $15 million of improvements in a phase one. Our engineer has updated that, refreshed it. And we're at $12.4 million, give or take, $2 or $3 million either way. And our rate people have told us that in order to pay for that, based on current market conditions, which is 5% for 25 years, unless we get some other money, that we're looking at somewhere between a 20 and 80% rate increase. And so the question is the question for the town council is there an appetite for a rate increase of that magnitude?
So
We believe that you need to do something. I don't know. And that's just, I'm just drafting here.
so Jim and I can work on putting together some bullet points to present at the next meeting, which is next Thursday, I think. So we can put together some bullet points and one of us can present that. I'd almost like Dan to be there in case they ask like little questions, but I don't know.
Yeah, we can be. I
Intermediate.
don't know exactly what I would be asking the town council.
It's not an ask, we're just gonna update them with where we are and what we're doing, and if for whatever reason, you know, Dave says, y'all are crazy, you just stop, then we won't waste your time into a proposal, but what I would say is, this is where we are, kind of what you said. We've asked Dan to put together a formal proposal for this, we've asked, this is where we are with the funding, this is roughly what it's gonna look like. This is roughly the OCRA stuff, we get a little bit more, size, a little bit more fine tuned over the next year. We're not asking for any money, we're just letting them know that we're gonna have a $12 million thing coming up that's gonna impact the ratepayers. This amount. Yes, please.
I took a lot of time to try to bring this down into a personal level on those rate increases. I could share with you.
Absolutely.
Basically, and then when I present a problem, I get I always like to give recommendations too. And it's just. That's again. For issue number one, we already hashed that one over. Right. But issue number two, this just brings it down as to realizing that we have a lot of retirees in this county. In fact, we're the oldest county in the state, yay. But this shows for my personal home, on one person, what the impact would be and how much all my utilities would cost per year. And bottom line, it's going to get too cost prohibitive for somebody on a fixed income to live in this town. Sure. So I would just give this to you as information to consider when you're looking at rate increases. And then I gave some recommendations there. I mean, I think there's enough financing, creative processing that you can do out there. One of the things, you know, we've got to get our representatives to help us, but looking at the state park usage, the high-end users, the commercials, properties, even the short-term rentals, you know, in my opinion, the commercial property should be paying more than I, a single person trying to get by. So just some kind of ideas, and definitely gather public input on this because it's going to impact a lot of people in the county as a whole. Okay.
Thanks for putting this together too. All right. We've got plans, we're gonna work on some bullet points and we'll figure out Jim who's gonna present it to council. Okay. All right, anything else on this? Everybody's got we've got actions, everybody's got something to work on. All right, good. Discuss stormwater utility. You know what we discussed on stormwater utility yet?
I wasn't here for the last meeting and I
We
think there were
kicked it
some
To the next one,
questions.
because we didn't know what we were supposed to be doing with it. Yeah.
So the council's created the stormwater utility that you guys are going to be overseeing.
Okay.
We have a stormwater master plan. We have major stormwater problems. So the next step I see is looking at, trying to figure out how to raise funds to take care of that. And to do that, we need to,
Understand how much we need.
You gotta understand the impact of each person has on storm. And so they have a factor. And then you apply that, divide that by the need. So let's say you have a $1 million need, so you want to spend $1 million to fix whatever.
Mhm.
And you've got 1,000 residents or 500 residents, divide that by that. But there are some people that affect stormwater much greater than others. Somebody that lives in a single home doesn't affect stormwater much. Somebody that has giant parking lots downtown affects stormwater much greater. So they would pay a much greater, so, yeah, prorate. So you're in that position now. You've got to make that decision on what the rates need to be, who each person that pays. And typically what you do is you look at all the impervious areas, come up with a spreadsheet that has everybody's property and the impervious areas, you put a factor to it, and then you divide it by the need, and you come up with a rate.
Do we have a rough idea of the need? Is that in the master plan?
It's in the master
plan. So we got to.
It's in the master plan. I've read it. There's some things in there I wouldn't do. You know, master plan is in a perfect world. You're not gonna pick to do everything.
Right.
But there are some things that you can do that have an immediate impact. And those I would concentrate on first. I wouldn't go crazy. I mean, you're only looking at, typically, stormwater fees are $3 to $5 per EDU. Similar, they call it ERU in stormwater.
Equivalent residential unit.
Thank you. And
So
why they changed that?
So then is this a Jarrod project then that he needs to, we need somebody to take a look and.
So what we would propose, we can do this. An hourly thing, we would come up with a spreadsheet, we would work with Jarrod. It's really a Jarrod and us issue. So we would get a spreadsheet put together, work with Jarrod on the need, and then we would come up with the pervious area. And it's real easy to do all various topography. And put that in a spreadsheet, pop it out and look at the numbers. And, you know, I wouldn't, the other thing you want to look at is what others are charging around in the area. You don't want to be any more. I mean, say Bloomington's charging $5 a month, you don't want to be more or $3, something like that.
the other thing that I want to push to is that if we do go forward and we start charging for this, I would like to see it on the tax bills rather than somebody's monthly water bill. So I've got a person renting a building down here selling candles, but now added to their water sewer bill, now they're paying an extra whatever. I want that on the property owner and let the property owner decide if they wanna do that. The one negative to doing that is then you don't have that monthly income, but if you save it up for a year, then now we rock them.
Comes in with your settlement.
And I
It's very
believe
twice a year.
that's what happens with your personal, right? Aren't you on, isn't it on your taxes, your stormwater? Yeah.
I pay it on my tax.
I have a drainage assessment on my house.
Yeah. I pay $5 or $6 a month on my taxes. It's on my tax bill.
So then is this, do you want to do this as a proposal or do you want to do this?
I can give you a proposal, and we can do either way. I can give you a proposal with a not to exceed number. It's probably the best way to do it. I don't want to. And I think it's something Jarrod and I need to get together, probably work on it together.
And there are, nothing against you, but there are other companies too. So I don't know if you want to get proposals from other companies as well, or you're good with your known quantity.
The one thing I'd like to, you said you said there were lots of problems. Stormwater problems. Can you enumerate some of those?
Street superintendent, I'm sure, Jamie, can you tell some of your big ones that need crisis care?
Oh, well. Gold Street and from Dixon to Johnson's. Or it's sucking rock out from under the road. That's as far as I can reach. There's, I have pictures of the last scene, it's different places broken.
Yeah.
On guard. I don't have them. It is really, pretty distressed.
I have no doubt. I guess where I'm headed in my head is rather than jumping forward to figure out how to go raise, how to tax, quote unquote, tax people or charge people money or set something to generate revenue. First, I'd kind of like to know exactly what I thought the problem was and what the value of the problem was beyond the master plan. For example, if Jamie said, we need to fix this, we need to fix that, and you got 10 things and added those all up and they were 10,000, I'm making it up, 10,000 a piece was $100,000. I don't need to figure out, we can probably raise $100,000 some way over 10 years or something, or fix one this year with the little $25,000 to $30,000 on stormwater. To touch the master plan, now we're going up, we're not talking about 100,000, we're not talking about a million, we're talking about $10 million as a counting zeros. Okay. To raise $10 million, think about what that, how many people will be paying in it? If you had 1 million people, they need to put in $10 a year. If you got 100,000, so what I'm saying is, having reviewed the master plan and seeing the scale of the work involved, and even after Dan saying, I wouldn't do all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so if take the scale and we'll divide it in half. What I'm trying to say to you guys is, there's no way you're going to generate the kind of money that you need to take care of that. And so rather than head down the road too far, it would be better to just get, whether it's Jamie making the note of the 10 things and somebody going to look at them, and let's just try to figure out what, like the old funny expression is, we only have a problem when it rains. And so I don't know exactly what the problems are. I know that there are problems. I know the infrastructure is old, but the real question is how much would it, what's the scale of that? Is it $100,000? Is it $1 million? What is it? Because I don't think you have the, I don't think you'll ever be able to generate money to do a whole bunch.
No.
But we can figure out pretty quickly how much money we can generate and be consistent with other local municipalities, see how much money we've got to play with,
Amen.
regardless of what the cost is.
Amen. I agree with that.
So I guess my ask then on this proposal is, what can we charge and what should we charge? And a breakdown of what are some of the low hanging fruit projects, what are some of the big ones.
Right.
I think once you figure out what we can charge people, we'll have a rough number of how much money we can raise. And an outline of this is where you would recommend we focus some of those efforts on now. And that gets all kind of some of your questions going, because again, raising, Sue's gonna have to add a stormwater category to
Right.
her costs here, and we'll see what's reasonable, what we can generate and what we can spend it.
And right, it won't be a lot of money for big, huge scope,
Sure.
but that could be.
Right.
Match money or.
We don't have any
Range
money
of
set aside to
whatever.
fix this stuff. Yeah, right. So
We have CCD fund, I don't know what's in that, I don't.
it's not, I mean, I assume it's not.
I don't know. Taylor,
So is that,
that is
let me see if I can
designated.
restate that into something that makes sense. So I'm gonna ask for another motion to ask Dan will put together we're gonna do this on proposal first, or is it just
I
a?
could give you, it'd be a joint venture between Jarrod
So
and.
a proposal for a joint venture between you guys and Jarrod to come up with a plan for where we can reasonably get the money, reasonable plan for, this would be a tax, I guess, for taxing property owners. And then an outline of where we think we can spend that and what we'll do, because I guess the other point of it is if we can only raise $20,000, if we needed a minimum of $250,000 to do anything. So you guys are gonna work together to put together a proposal on what we can build and do, and what we will do with that money once we get it. Is that?
Yeah.
Really not a whole lot.
And to ask Jamie to make a list of the top 10 things you'd like to fix,
Yeah.
or identify, to where we can say that's a $5,000 problem or $10,000. I mean, when Sandy says we have problems, that's good. It's kind of like, I don't know what the problems are. And I don't expect you to know all the problems. But if there are hot items, I'd like to know what the top 10 hot items are. And see if we can put a figure on it or something. I don't know. I mean, I used to be an estimator. We can guess. Tom and I can guess. Tom would help, wouldn't you? Sure.
So Alan, that's your motion, right? Makes it easy.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. That seems a bit of a nebulous ask for proposal, but
Well, we can put it into.
you know what we need, so.
We've done some of those. I will tell you that we would not do I don't think this requires a formal report. I mean, we had sent you one before and it was a formal report and that's.
Okay.
Let's put together a simple spreadsheet. Put together, okay, here's the people, here's the cost, divide it out. This is what we can do.
It's pretty straight. Once you identify the impervious area data,
Yeah,
it's just a matter of like, what's the charge, which generates the revenue.
right. It's really easy.
Just so.
Nothing real complicated, and we're not gonna go crazy on, okay, it's gotta be $20 a month. That's the silly.
The biggest lift is the impervious area
Yeah,
data.
the impervious area is the biggest goal.
Thank you guys for working on that. It's been really important, and I know Jamie's really been struggling with like, hey, I'm supposed to take care of something, but I've got no tools, meaning no finances to be able to do that. So I think this is a step in the right direction to see what we could do for what you speak.
Awesome. All right, anything else on stormwater utility? And we should, that's something reasonable to point out in the next meeting.
Yes.
All right. Discuss Brown County water rate increase. Let's raise the water, or raise the rate to match the Brown County rate they raised for us.
Yeah.
How do we, I guess the question is, how do we do it and what do we need to do? But if they raise our water rate, we should track or whatever to match, right? We don't want to need it again.
You did the last one.
We hate it.
Yeah. I believe so. Seems like they do it every 3 months. Yeah, I don't recall you guys doing anything the last time they raised it. So I would.
The 6 cents per thousand represents 2% of the $3.64 they charge us, so it's slightly less than 2%. And I told myself, woo, good news, we increased our rates based on what we had for escalation of 3.5%. And so we have it covered. Going forward, at the end of the year, if we do a rate increase for what we ought to be general for 2026, then we need to roll that in and go capture it. I don't think we need to capture it. As far as our 1,400 ratepayers in general, I don't think we need to do anything. I think we just need to pay the 6 cents per thousand and make a note to ourselves to going forward. We need to go consider it when we do rates for next year. The only other thing was on the Frank County State Park, which is our largest water user. We had a rate increase to them once upon a time, a couple years ago. And it was based on a percentage that Sandy said that Jarrod had somehow helped us come up with how we were going to use this percentage. And they are in fact paying us this increased rate. And based on what little I've read on the Brown County State Park agreement, it seems like the easiest thing for us to do, at least for the state park, is simply pass 6 cents per thousand through them as quickly as possible. In a dream world, the minute we saw the note in the Brown County Democrat, we, meaning the utility people, should have sent a note to them and said, we don't know what's happening, but please be aware there's a note in the Brown County Democrat, and if that becomes reality, then this is your notice that it's happening. We just got this as the first bill that they charged 6 cents, so we're supposed to give them a 60-day notice. You could go ahead and bill for it and make them push back. You can send them a note, say that we're going to start charging you. Whether we need to take that 6 cents and figure out some Jarrod way of saying that is actually.
Well, it's gonna be more than 6
7.
cents, I can tell you that, because remember, you have to buy a gallon, every gallon of water you buy, you have a factor in there, a loss factor, so.
For fun, we're buying it for $3.60, we're selling it to them for $4.60.
Right.
So the 6 cents is really 7 or 8 cents.
Yeah.
Okay. But since the way that, in my mind, why not just go get 6 cents until we figure it out more where our rates are going to be. But the way that Brown County Water passed it through was, as they called it, a tracker. And on the bills, it comes across as a surcharge. So their rates have not changed. So to tell the state park that the rates have changed, then you're telling them something different. Where it seems like the easiest thing to do is say, we've been hit with a tracker, so we're going to pass the tracker through to you. Whether it's 6 cents or 7 cents or 7.5 cents, why not go get the 6 cents and get it as quickly as we can? That's what I would do. Or, I don't know, that's just a thought.
We do.
I think we have.
You want to increase the rates at the state park, but not the rest of the rate.
Today, yes.
Correct.
And we can do that.
I had a guess. I
Yeah.
don't know what it says, but
It says if there's an increase in Brown County water, they have to pay it.
okay.
If we just raise our rates just because we're doing, then we can't pass that on.
I'm saying let's do it.
But I guess but we don't want to change the rates for everybody else. Just for the property.
Would be nice, but we kind of already did. In my mind, I just thought to myself, this year we collected a little bit more, and we're still, based on what we're looking at on the water side, we're still quote unquote okay. Got our head out of the water just a little bit. I don't know that it's necessary to do it now. I'd rather wait till we figure out what we're going to do for next year.
We can factor that in.
I think we have
Pro-
it covered.
purchase water
In my mind, I
next
think I
year.
have the 6 cents covered today,
So what do we need?
so that we're not doing 20 of them. One
Right.
time, this time.
Right.
Right.
So do we want to pass it through as is and do it quickly, or do we want Jarrod to take a look at it, see what the real number should be and pass it through? Right, because it's.
Well, I can have Dan and Jared look at the contract and see how it's stated with the state park.
What do we need to do to, they can get that passed through to the state park so we can start capturing?
Have we given them a notice yet?
No. So if I can get Jared and Dan to look at the paperwork today before they walk out the door, gives me a number, I send them a letter today,
Okay.
email and stamp.
Do you need a motion from us, or we can just do that?
Hang on. why do we need anything to send them a notice? We don't have to tell them where we're going. What we need to do is give them notice. So the notice will be, we've received a tracker pass through from the thing and we intend to pass that on. This is your notice. We're gonna figure something out. You don't have to tell them the answer 60 days away, but we just need to give them a notice.
Right,
And so we ought to do the notice today.
that's my
That's what
plan,
she just said.
that's my plan.
Okay. I don't understand. Okay. I thought you were asking us, the notice is gonna be, we're gonna ask you for 6 cents more. And you needed to talk to somebody. Talk to Jarrod and,
They want to get the actual amount. It might not be 6 cents, it might be higher. So they want to make sure they get the appropriate amount.
You're just saying, don't put a number in, just say you're getting.
okay, we back up. Okay, just briefly. When we did it 2 or 3 years ago, we got a 7.267% increase from them because we said that the rates changed. All I'm saying is the way that the Graham County Water is charging us now, is they're charging us as a tracker, 6 cents per thousand tracker. They're saying their wholesale cost went up and they're gonna pass it through. They have not changed their rates. And when you look at the bill, it says, here's your water bill, here's the surcharge. So it's billed as a surcharge based on the tracker. What I'm saying is, what we did before, where we said their rates went up and converted it to a percentage so that because he's right, we pay them incrementally more.
Right.
I don't know that I would complicate it that much. And I don't know that. I guess all I'm saying is keep it simple. They've passed through 6 cents. Let's go get the 6 cents. And quit worrying about the minutia. You're talking about 7 cents, 1 penny more. Go get the 6 cents. It comes through as a pass through. Send a copy of the bill to them, say their charge is a surcharge. And on our bill to them, that's the way I bill it. I bill it as a surcharge. But I don't know. I guess I'm just talking for the benefit of, I don't know.
So Sandy can get with Dan and Jarrod after this meeting and we can figure out what that needs to look like and we can get it out today. Sure. So
The only, yeah.
just something will go out today. Okay. Do we need a motion for that or just you guys are gonna do it? Okay. Is much as we
Can
can.
you eyeball the agreement we have with the state park? You have, okay. So
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at it and it's pretty limited.
Well, usually-
Or I would have the indicator to raise it as much as we absolutely can based on that tracker, whatever we can get based on that agreement. So we didn't, whatever the new infrastructure piece of that clause doesn't kick. So it's just based on the tracker. So whatever we can get. Okay. Anything else on that? All right, so the other one I'd asked Sandy to put this back on the agenda. And at one point we had recommended to the council to tie the expansion of our services to annexation. It got pulled out of that bill because it was more of a timing. I think it was a timing issue and it's a timing issue with other stuff that was going on. So I had asked her put this back on the agenda because I would like for us to make a recommendation to council to add an ordinance that ties future expansion of service to annexation. And I didn't see this that got added in, so I'm kind of was thumbing through this today to see if this is I'm trying to read whether this says this is a good idea or this is a bad idea.
Well, it depends what side of the fence you're on. I just had a discussion with HWC the other day. And they were like, absolutely 100%. If you want sewer, you need to be annexed into
what's
the
HWC?
engineering firm.
Ah.
And I said, well, I referred to this article and they're like, a community needs to annex for services into discussion.
Yeah.
And I think what whoever in Bloomington was doing this, I think they were trying to say, hey, the city's not being fair to us. We should get to do what we want to do.
Stalling growth by not providing sewer.
Yeah.
I would echo what Sandy has said in her, that
And that's,
leverage.
Jim said this earlier, I mean, we have a fiduciary duties to those people that are customers, right? And, you know, then into the town, it doesn't make sense to me why we wouldn't require this if we can. It seems like from the legal research that we've done, we can do this. So I guess we don't need to iron out the details of what it looks like, but I would like to make a motion that we recommend to town council that we draft an ordinance that ties future expansion of water and sewer to annexation. Yes, Dave.
So what do you do if you bring it on up? We're not gonna bring an annex in.
Will they be a wholesale customer or?
They would be a wholesale.
Yeah.
So you don't need to-
That's different.
Yeah, we could
that's
carve it
different.
out as a wholesale exception.
Or, you know, any other utility like that. I mean, who knows, we may end up with somebody else too.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that we could do, and I'll have to look at this, part of the board was the 15-year.
Oh, yeah, and that, I found that to be really interesting.
In your law agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a situation. That's the other way that you could do a novel is that if our city limits touch novel within 15 years, then novel will be annexed, but the reality of our borders touching novel within 15 years is probably pretty. So there's a couple ways that we could handle that one exception, but you know, I wish we had this in place before. I know there's that wouldn't help the tax base. So yeah, I would like to make a motion that we get approval from the town council to draft an ordinance that ties sewer expansion, water expansion to annexation.
The only thing that runs through my head is as it stands today, the income that the revenue income, I mean, the city gets, town gets, comes from property taxes. And there is no cross flow of money. The Nashville water sewer and Nashville town services, those are completely separate. And so in my own mind, just thinking outside the box, 1,400 customers go all the way from Melbourne to Belmont. And on the sewer customers we have that include the state park, et cetera, et cetera. They really have nothing to do. Those services and things really have nothing to do with.
Other than the town was on the hook for financing everything that we're putting that. Right, the town backs these bonds and everything else, not us as an entity, so. You know, the town is gonna continue to financially back all these expansions, it makes sense to them benefit from the tax revenue stuff. And
Well, and any recommendations we make, go to the.
Yeah.
So that part I get.
but they could shoot us down. Council. But it's really, I mean, from a town council point of view, it's a way for the town to generate additional revenue through annexation and deciding annexation. You can't require people to annex in, but you can tie annexation to.
That part I understand.
So you're going to second the motion,
I'll second your motion.
all in favor?
So do you want that on the town council agenda for next Thursday, since you're
Might
gonna
as
be here?
well. We're just gonna recommend that we draft the ordinance for that, have the ordinance ready.
And we already had that in the original draft of the sewer ordinance, so we can just that back out.
Yeah,
We
I
already have all
know,
that
I'd
there.
almost wanna look at this whole 15-year thing. Cause I don't think we had that added.
Or do you want it? Okay,
Well, it would answer the question, like, for example, if the Opry project, for example,
Right.
wanted sewer. And we tied it to annexation, it would give us a way to connect the Opry project. Even though we couldn't annex them until they touched, right? So that would give us 15 years to close that gap. We didn't close the gap within 15 years, then the Opry project wouldn't have to annex in. So I think it's worth looking at to see if that's something that we want to do or not. So I guess that's why I don't know if we can have the whole thing drafted between Thursday. We can try it. I hadn't thought about that 15-year, whatever that. He's put the year to find what it's called.
The weird, I guess the weird part about the whole thing, is how do you grandfather what you had?
Yeah,
So
I don't think you can, I don't know if you read.
We're kind of stuck.
no, I got it. So if you're doing something that's going forward,
Yeah, you can't grandfather, somebody could voluntarily annex, but you can't. Well, force it.
okay, so. And the other part is the water and sewer. To me are completely different from one another. And just as a, for example, if you're talking about Opry, forget the sewer, they figured out they were gonna do their own sewer, but they want water, is that anybody between town and Belmont, anybody between Orchard Hill, and Boston, anybody west, east of town, if they're, the minute that they tap onto the water system we have, then that little individual property becomes annexed.
No, and that's the 15-year part that I was talking about in here, so it can't be annexed in until they touch. So to 1/3 contiguous, to some number of property has to be contiguous. So what Monroe did is they basically put a requirement in there that once you became contiguous, then you were automatically annexed in. So you couldn't fight it with that.
Right.
What's happened a few years ago is they changed it so that that law has a 15-year cap. So if you live out of an island in whatever you said, you agree to this, if the town doesn't touch you within 15 years, then you no longer are obligated to annex in what it does. So
Yeah,
that's
fair.
yeah. So which I think. Okay, that's fine. We don't get it within 15 years, we didn't get it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that, so. That's the only part that I wanted to possibly tweak from what we had the first time, so I don't think we did it. All right, anything else?